Good morning, preschool friends. I'm so glad you could be with me again. It's Mrs. Becker back to have a new story with you. Today's story is called Who Sank the Boat? Look, at the end of the sentence, there's a question mark. Remember question marks? Those help us to know when someone is asking you a question. Today's person, the author and illustrator of our book, is Pamela Allen, and she wants to ask you the question, who sank the boat? You can see here on the front cover that there's a donkey and a cow, and they are in a boat, and the boat is in some water. Do you remember what it means for something to sink? We're going to look at some things that sink in a minute. First, let's read our story, and then we'll do an experiment. I almost forgot to tell you, today you're going to need your scientist hat on. I'm going to put my book down and reach and put my scientist hat on, because when we talk about things that sink, like the boat, we're talking about science. All right, let's find out what happens. The first page of our book has no words at all. It just shows a little house, the little boat, and this wooden bridge called a pier. A pier connects the land to the water, and that's how the people get out to the boat. You might have been in a boat and gone on a pier before. I wonder who lives in that little house. Could it be the cow and the pit and the cow and the donkey? I don't know. Let's look and see. We're going to continue to the next page. Listen as I share with you. Beside the sea, on Mr. Pepper's place, there lived a cow, a donkey, a sheep, a pig, and a tiny little mouse. I'll come closer so you can see the tiny little mouse. They were good friends, and one warm sunny morning, for no particular reason, they decided to go for a row in the bay. A bay, boys and girls, is an area of water that has land surrounding it on some parts, and then it's opened up to the ocean on the other parts. Now your author asks you a question. Pamela Allen asks you a question. Do you know who sunk the boat? I don't have a guess yet. Did you know that when you are a scientist and you make a guess, it's called a prediction? A prediction is the science word for making a guess. I'm going to ask you to make a guess in a minute. Was it the cow who almost fell in when she tilted the boat and made such a din? A din is a bunch of noise, boys and girls. Do you think it was the cow? Oh, we're going to stop here for a minute. I want you to make that prediction. Do you think it was the cow, the donkey, the sheep, the pig, or do you think it was that tiny little mouse? Close your eyes for a minute and think, which one of these animals makes that boat sink? Ready? I'm going to give you till 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, do you have your animal in your head? Let's keep going then and see what happens. So there's the cow trying to get in. No, it wasn't the cow who almost fell in. Oh, it almost went, but she got in safely. Do you know who sank the boat? If you guessed the cow, sorry, that's not the answer. Let's continue reading. Was it the donkey who balanced her weight, who yelled, "I'll get in at the bow before it's too late"? The bow, boys and girls, is the front of the boat. The donkey's going to get in the front to balance it. Remember, balance is when each side is equal. Do you think it's the donkey? Did you guess? No, it wasn't the donkey who balanced her weight. Do you know who sank the boat? Look, they're both safely in the boat, and it's still floating. Was it the pig, as fat as butter, who stepped in at the side and caused a great flutter? Oh, I don't know. Look, the pig looks like she's going in the water. She's going to lose her umbrella, too. Let's find out if it was her. No, it wasn't the pig, as fat as butter. Do you know who sank the boat? It wasn't the cow, it wasn't the donkey, and it wasn't the pig. Who's left? It could be the sheep or the tiny little mouse. Let's keep going. I love the way this story keeps us guessing. Was it the sheep who knew where to sit to level the boat so that she could knit? Knit is to make a scarf from yarn. And she's going to level the boat. Level is another word for balance. Did you guess the sheep? No, it wasn't the sheep who knew where to sit. Do you know who sank the boat? It wasn't the cow. It wasn't the donkey. It wasn't the pig. And it wasn't the sheep. Who's left? Only one left. Was it the little mouse, the last to get in, who was lightest of all? Could it be him? Can you see? Look, the mouse is jumping right off and trying to get in. I wonder what happens. Uh-oh, curse splash, look, the boat sinks. You do know who sank the boat. It was the tiny little mouse. All the other animals got in, but when that last little mouse, it was just too heavy and down went the boat. I love the way that boat kept us that book kept us guessing right till the end. I would like you to do an experiment with me, and then you can do the experiment at home too, but you're going to need a grown-up to help you. I'm going to turn my computer and show you the things that you're going to need. Okay, see, I'm going to tilt a little bit here. There you go. I have a bowl full of water. Can you hear the water? I have some pennies. I have some aluminum foil. And those are the things we're going to need. We're going to use the aluminum foil to make a boat. Boys and girls, aluminum foil has a part on it that is very sharp, Please go and get your grown-ups before you try to do this experiment at home. Your grown-up will help you to take a sheet of aluminum foil out. Remember, that's a grown-up job. You're going to take the aluminum foil and you're going to roll it up, turn it and roll it again, turn and roll, turn and roll. Good, you're going to keep turning and rolling until you have something that looks like a boat. You see, I made one earlier so that I knew it would come out just the way I wanted. Here's the flat part for the bottom, and here are my sides. I'm going to take my boat and put it in the water. There. See how it's floating right on the top? Floating means that the object is sitting right on top of the water. Watch what happens when I take this penny and drop it in the water. It went right down to the bottom. It sank. Pennies sink and my boat floats. Ah, but here comes the experiment part. I want you to help me to count how many pennies I can put in my boat before it starts to sink. Are you ready? Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no! Look, my boat sank to the bottom. It only took 6 pennies to make my boat sink. I wonder what other kinds of things float and what other kinds of things sink. That's where you come in, boys and girls. I want you to make your boat and see how many pennies or little rocks you can put in it before it sinks. Mine only took 6. It was not a very strong boat. Here's your challenge. Can you make your boat hold more things than mine? And then after you get your boat done, maybe you can experiment with some other things that sink and some other things that float. Remember my spoon? It was able to float right on the top. It was able to float. And the penny sank to the bottom. All right, now that you have your scientist hats on and you have your challenge, I want you to get mom or dad or one of the grown-ups at your house to help you get these things, and you can have some scientist fun. Until our next story, love you. Bye.